Hi there, Frogs in Orbit coming at you with a new video. In today's video, I'd like to show you how I do precise polar alignment to push long exposures. I do that using a combination of the ZWO app as well as Seestar _Alp, which you can find on GitHub by doing a search. It's a community-made software that I think is much better for precision polar alignment, allowing you to push long exposures. Seestar _Alp allows you, I'm just going to call it Seestar Alp from now on. Seestar Alp allows you to make precision adjustments to the polar alignment because it has a finer scale. It allows more decimal points. It tells you to the third decimal point how close you are to polar alignment. So it allows a much, also the graphic allows a little bit of a bullseye, making it easier to adjust rather than just going left to right, up, down, and seeing it move. You'll know by the bullseye if your Seestar is tilted a little bit. It affects where it's moving on the bullseye and gives you a better idea how to perfectly polar align. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Before we get into the videos and the actual polar alignment process, I want to talk a little bit about wedges. You absolutely need to have a wedge if you want to push long exposures. I've been successful getting 45 seconds on many targets. I've also been very successful at 60 seconds on some of the northern low arc targets like the Iris Nebula, and I've also been able to push 90 seconds on some objects. But definitely 60 seconds is possible. If you're one of those people that don't care that you're getting 20 seconds and 80% efficiency, this part of the video is not for you. If you're someone like me who wants to push the long exposures, this video is for you. So let's talk about wedges. You absolutely need a wedge. I have 3 Seestars. This was the first wedge I ever owned. I cannot find this anymore. The reason I'm showing this to you is if any users out there have seen this for sale, please let me know, because it's the best wedge I've owned and I cannot find it anymore. It has a locking knob here, but then the angle is easy to adjust while it's locked. That's what I like about it. You don't have to loosen it to adjust it. Once it's locked in, you can still easily adjust the wedge and change the angle. So I really miss using this wedge. The only reason I don't use it anymore is because I screwed it down too far one day and it actually cracked here on the base. So when I screw it down, it does not sit flush anymore. The crack opens wider and it sits up. So the weight of the Seestar opens up the crack a little bit. I cannot use it anymore and I miss it. So if you've seen this in the comments, it says Orion on the side. I would really appreciate a link to where I could buy this. So the wedges I'm using right now, I own 2 of these. One I think is made by Ioptron and one is like a knockoff version. It's not any less, not any better or worse, but it's virtually the same, just has a different name. So I use 2 of these wedges. I guess I can put the link in the comments and for AliExpress. I got these at AliExpress. I'm in Korea, so AliExpress is simple shipping to Korea, and it's not this cheap website that people claim it to be. I've gotten good stuff from it. You just have to be smart about purchasing. But anyway, it is reliable, and I've never gotten ripped off from AliExpress. I use this wedge. It has a locking mechanism here. You can adjust the altitude here. And if I want to adjust going right or left, I can use these 2 buttons on these 2 knobs on the side. The Seestar is facing this way away from me, and I can move this to move the Seestar right and move this to move the Seestar left, rotate right and left. So again, the reason I suggest a wedge is because you can have minute control of where the Seestar is pointing with this. By adjusting the altitude slightly, just tiny bit here, tiny bit here, you can work towards pinpoint precision. Again, I don't want to hear people in the comments saying, oh, I can do just fine with my ball head. It's no problem. I can get 20 seconds with my ball head. That's great. This video is not about getting 20 seconds. Okay, this video is about getting 60 seconds. Show me 60 seconds with your ball head, then I'll be impressed. It's very difficult to do. So you definitely need a wedge. I have this wedge and I have the Skywatcher. This wedge also I like. You don't have to replace this dovetail plate bolt. It secures and it sits flush enough that it doesn't affect the Seestar. So it doesn't rub against the bottom of the Seestar. There's no issues with this. It does not come with a dovetail plate though, so you do have to purchase the actual plate separately, which drives up the cost some. This ends up being maybe $90 US when it's all said and done with the plate. Then I have the Skywatcher wedge, which also works no problem. I know a lot of people complain about it. I took this bolt and I grinded it down in the street to get it small enough, and it's just barely small enough to lock in without rubbing against the Seestar. But I didn't replace the bolt like some people did. I just grounded it down on the pavement. The Seestar one, the Skywatcher one is okay. I don't like it as much as the other one, but it works fine, and I can also get 60 seconds with this with not too much difference. Both wedges I show you have panoramic 360 panoramic spinners on the bottom here. The reason is because I don't use a tripod. I have a old whiteboard set up, you'll see in the video, so I need these to be able to move my Seestar large distances left and right, because I cannot control moving the whiteboard with 3 Seestars on it. I cannot angle it towards north like I would, so I just use these for large corrections, and I use these knobs for minute corrections to get precision polar alignment. Alright, so that's what we're working here with. The other things I want to show you is what I've tried. I'm not speaking from lack of experience. I tried one of these ball heads. This one's rated. It's cheap, maybe 30,000 Korean won, so like 20 bucks American, 20 US dollars. Actually, this one I had to, there's 2 grooves here because I have to angle my Seestar quite a bit. I had to use one of these grooves. So I've got my Seestar sitting in here. I've got to hold the Seestar, adjust it both directions, and then try to lock it in. And when you lock it in, it doesn't sit completely tight. It moves a little bit. You're not going to get precision polar alignment with this. I mean, unless you're some genius with your hands, I really don't see how anybody's getting good polar alignment with this. Yeah, you might be able to get 20 seconds with this. You're not going to get 60 seconds with this, so don't even try. Don't come to me in the comments, I couldn't get 60 seconds. Seriously, just spring for the wedge, people. Then I tried this. This is probably similar to the one that Seestar is selling. This is made by Horace Bennu. I think actually it's like a popular German thing. It's not a cheap ripoff. This one, again, I can loosen this, and I can then move this up and down, and actually it's pretty tight. It allows good locking. It takes a lot of force to move this, unless I really loosen it, then, but still it takes a lot of force to move this, so it's pretty strong. And then I can adjust this base this way with this knob. It will slide this way like a 360 panoramic. Again, this is a step up from the ball head, no doubt, but just getting precise alignment with this is not easy. Even when I push this down, it wants to go back up, like it's resisting staying down, so you have to hold it tight and try to lock it at the same time. And I'm sure the Seestar made one is better than this, but I'm still going to tell you, you're not going to get 60 seconds with the Seestar provided fluid head that they're selling. It's just not going to happen, that one or the other one. Yeah, it's easier to do and you might get lucky, but consistency is what we want. I don't think it's going to be consistent. I really don't. So I know that was a long-winded introduction, but I really thought it was necessary to point out the differences between these. Go ahead. hit me in the comments if you want to criticize, but that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Anyway, let's go ahead and hit the intro, and then we'll get into the videos and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. If you've stuck around this long, thank you. And also, I haven't been telling people this because I don't make that many videos, but like and subscribe. Let me know if these videos are helpful. It might keep me going. I have other videos I can possibly do getting lined up. I'm thinking about putting more videos out there. So please like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Thanks. Alright, so I'm going to record this video to show you how I do the Alp, Seestar Alp in EQ mode, the polar alignment by getting more accuracy using Seestar Alp, and I'm also going to do it with the ZWO app in tandem to get great accuracy, and also allows me to refresh the deviation in the ZWO app, but we'll talk more about that. It's really hot out here and a little bit clouds coming through, so I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to get good PPA, 3 PPA on this, because it's really hot out here, and the clouds, and it's in the middle of rain, not the middle but the beginning of rainy season, so I'm actually kind of lucky to even have a little bit of clear sky. So let's see how it goes. I've already turned on my Seestars, and I'm going to have 3 screens I'm going to be showing you. So first we're going to be doing the Seestar Alp screen, and I'm going to use this for the startup. I have all 3 of my Seestars connected, and I'm going to unclick move arm, autofocus, and dark frames, and I'm just going to do polar align. I'm going to hit I have to make sure I'm in all 3 scopes here. I should be in Seestar Federation, which is going to control all 3 apps at once. I'll uncheck these again. And I'm just doing polar align, and I hit start. So as these fire up, I put my dew shields on while they're moving. I haven't plugged these in yet. I'm going to do that right before I do the polar alignment. Also, I'm only going to do polar alignment on show you on one scope, because it will take too long to show you on all 3. And I'm probably going to have to keep this video as short as possible. So anyway, these are all firing up here and starting to do the polar alignment. We'll be able to track it in the Seestar.alp. I've got some spider webs out here. I've been out here for a while. So I'm going to get these dew shields on as they're spinning. Just like to do this before I have to mess with them during polar alignment and stuff. I've got my Seestars on 3 wedges, 2 iOptron style wedges and 1 Star Watcher wedge. Okay, let's see how this goes. So I'm hoping the sky's not too cloudy and they'll be able to polar align. Looks like so far so good. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of bugs out here. I'm not a fan of bugs. Okay, I was able to get the 3 PPAs on all the scopes, which is great. Once they're all green, I can move on to the next step. Now you can see all of them are not pointing in the right spot. I should have moved them some, but that's okay. So as far as this PPA is concerned now, I'm going to start working on scope number 1. Now, what I normally do is, at this point, I'm going to move the scope. I'm going to hit start here, and I'm just going to move the scope left and right. so that I have it lined up. And I'll tell you why I'm only going left and right in a second. Spider out here. I'll tell you why I'm going left and right in a second, but I'm just going to try to line this up in the bullseye. Probably I went a little bit far here. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is close enough for now. I'm just going to get this one close. And I'm going to stop this one. Okay, now I'm going to go to my second scope. I'm not going to do this the whole process with all three scopes like I said, but I just want to get these lined up right. I'm going to turn this scope. I have a rotator, as you can see, or maybe you can't see because it's super dark. I'm using a old whiteboard stand to hold my Seestars, so I cannot actually move the whiteboard stand. So I have them on panoramic rotators to get them pointed at the at Polaris, the North Star. Okay, so I'm done with scope 2. I'm going to do scope 3. Scope 3 is actually kind of close, but since I've already got it on, I'll just go ahead and do this. Move it a little bit. Pretty good. Okay. So now that I've got them all done, wow, this polar alignment actually not too terrible right from the start, but anyway, we're gonna make it better. So after I'm done with that, and I stop it, I'm going to go back to Seestar Federation, and I'm going to go to function commands, and this is important. I need to stop imaging. The reason I need to stop imaging is because when I try to use the ZWO app in tandem, it's not going to work with the it's not going to work. It's going to say it's in the middle of imaging. These bugs. So I'm gonna fire up the ZWO app now. I need to start my screen recorder here, so give me a second. Okay. Now that I've got this running, I'm gonna go into my first scope here, and I'm going to fire up the ZWO app, Seestar app, whatever it is. Okay, now the reason I'm going into the ZWO app is because ALP doesn't allow you to refresh deviation. If I try to refresh these by running the 3 PPA again, they're going to spin around and they're going to close, and then they're going to start up again. And it's really kind of a pain, especially now because I'm going to plug these in and I'm going to get cord wrap and have to redo the dew shields. The deviation is way faster in the ZWO app, and because this is not very accurate, I think the gyroscopes in these is not really that accurate. It needs to be refreshed often to really get the polar alignment locked in. And also it's really important to get the polar alignment locked in, especially if you want to do 60-second subs, which I've had decent success with. So that's why I go through this process, because I like to have the longest subs possible. Usually I can do 45 and 30 with not a lot of headache, and on occasions the target I can do 60 seconds, but I usually try 60 and go down to 45, and if I can't do 45 I'll go to 30, and I don't often have to drop less than 30 seconds. So now that I'm in the ZWO app, I'm gonna have this up on screen as well. I'm gonna go into their polar alignment, and the other reason that I only adjusted left and right is because when you go into the polar alignment in the ZWO app, sometimes it tells you have to adjust the altitude. Like right now, this should be at 36 on the wedge, but it's actually 34. So now I have to adjust up and down before I can get polar alignment. I have to adjust the latitude to get polar alignment. So I'm just gonna adjust the latitude on this scope to get it showing. Going in the right direction right now. This thing might be loose. Too loose. So I don't like this. I really don't like this. Okay. Now I can get the correct polar alignment on this. Let me lock it. And probably what's going to happen is after I do this, it's going to want me to go down again. But let's just see. So I'm going to start the deviation now in the app. And you can also see it will, if I go to startup in Alp, it's going to also show me the process here. So we can use these together to get a better measurement of the 3 PPA and also get a bullseye to adjust more accurately. That's the full point of doing this. So I really hope I get a decent 3 or 4 hours of clear skies, because it's hot out here and buggy, and I don't want this to be a waste. The sky's looking pretty nice though. So you can see now I can go down into Alp, and I can hit start again, and I can use the bullseye here to adjust. Should be able to. Don't know why it's not oh, I'm in Seestar Federation. I should be just in one here. That's why it's not working. Okay, so now I'm just going to, now I have the bullseye here, and I can move this, and now I can see the adjustments I need to make. So I need to go back down where I was. I don't know why Alpha makes me go, why Seestar makes you go to 36 if you're just going to have to adjust it back down again. So it's really kind of annoying, honestly, that it does this. I really don't know if it's a leveling calibration issue or something, but anyway, I went back down, and now I'm going to do a large adjustment here to get it close. And once it's close and locked in, I'm going to do now I'm going to use the side measurements to make tiny adjustments. Now, I don't really have this bouncing around as much as it's normally bouncing around, so I may actually be able to do this quite fast tonight. Alright, it's getting closer. I'm going to move over a little bit more. So we're pretty close here. I'm at 0.042 and 0.001, which is actually pretty good, but now you can see it's bouncing around a little bit. So normally when this happens and it starts bouncing around like this, actually this is a really good polar alignment if it stays this way. So I'm going to stop it, and this is where I'm going to refresh deviation again. Now that Alpha is already started the process, I don't have to worry about the altitude adjustment anymore. It will just do a refresh deviation, and we'll be able to take a look. If I scroll up, we'll be able to see how close it is. Okay, so usually I have to do this a couple times until I feel confident that it's in a pretty good spot. We'll see how this third one looks. you can see, it's not really that great anymore. It's already bounced around, so I'm gonna hit start again. You can see it's off to one side. So even though it made it seem like it was great polar alignment, it really was not. Now I have to adjust this again. Actually, I got pretty close just from moving the panoramic. So this is 0.18 and 0.4. You can see it's bouncing around again. It's pretty spot on still, not really that bad. Try to move it back this way some. I'm sure part of this is the whiteboard shakes just a little bit, but it doesn't really, it's very sturdy and does not continue to shake once it's after I first touch it. So I don't really know why this bounces around like this. I really think it's just got to do with the gyroscope. I've heard other people complaining the same thing and they're using tripods. So I'm gonna refresh deviation again now that I feel like I'm getting closer. And we'll see what it lines up to again. And like I said, I'm just going to pretty much keep doing this until I feel confident that it's in a good spot. And this is usually enough to get it to work. I can see a little bit of clouds rolling through, but the stars are, I think the seeing's really good tonight. The stars are not really twinkling. They're pretty bright, so kind of looking forward to finishing up my M16 mosaic. I need to get the two side panels, more data. So this is 0.052 and 0.28. I don't like that 0.28, but 0.052 is not bad. So I'm just gonna adjust some more. You can see it's already starting to move just by coming near it. So might have to mess with the altitude here, as it looks like there's a little bit of an altitude issue. I can adjust the altitude just a little bit. Fortunately, it's quite hard to adjust the altitude with this Skywatcher wedge. I really don't like it. Getting closer, but still bouncing around. I mean, if it was good, if it's good here, it can be nice, but I'll try one more time to refresh deviation. But these are the numbers I'm looking for, what I'm getting now. Under 0.05 for each axis is pretty good for getting longer exposures. That's what I try to shoot for, 0.05 or less. And you can see you have more decimal points to work with without. Wow, so it's getting worse. It's not really, I'm not quite sure if this, maybe this panoramic is moving a little bit. I really hope it's not, but it's quite possible this is my issue. It could be rotating some when Alp's doing the deviation. So I think at this point, I'm just gonna adjust it and stop here. If it doesn't work, I can always redo. You know, I can come back out and mess with it, but tonight, like tonight, I'm not gonna be too picky. insane how hot it is right now. And humid. I really didn't want to have to adjust this altitude again. This is the one that's giving me a hard time. Kind of wish that I had done this on the easier scopes than this. Looks like I will have to mess with it too. That's a little too far. Yeah, that works. Getting better, I think. So really, this is just a matter of altitude now. And you can move the scope up just a tiny bit. Some more. Come on, buddy, go back down. I think at this point I'm gonna do one more deviation because I don't know why it's might be a little bit frozen here. Let's do one more. Cross my fingers on this one. So you can see it takes a while. Sometimes it takes me almost an hour to do three scopes, and probably you're thinking, oh, why would you go through this? But the longer exposures to me is worth it. Really is, makes a difference in my images. And once it's set up, if I can leave the wedges out on nights where it's not too on days where it's not going to rain, I can leave the wedges out, and then I don't have to do as much moving around. They don't keep the PA perfectly, but it's less adjustment. So again, this 1.03 is okay. It's just this like I said, I think this spins while it's doing it. Try to tighten this as much as I can to make sure it doesn't spin. I'm almost there. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna be satisfied with this. I'm gonna lock this in. Yeah. So that's it. I got 0.026, 0.005, and I'm pretty confident that this is a good polar alignment, and it's locked in. So anyway, I hope this video helps you. Just want to add a quick follow-up to what you just watched there. There was a spot. So I shot this video back in June, back at the end of June. It's now the first week in September. So there's some things that I have done to refine this whole process. The first thing is I recalibrated the level on my scopes. So it turns out the reason that the Seestars were showing the original angle incorrectly, you saw in the video I had to put it at 36 to start the calibration with the ZW, start the deviation with the ZWO app. And then after it was done, I had to put it back down to 34, and it wasn't matching what my angle should be at 36. Is because the scope was incorrectly leveled. I guess somewhere during one of the updates, the scope was not leveled anymore. because I didn't change anything with the level. It just changed from one of the updates. So actually 2 out of my 3 scopes were not leveled correctly. So I just put them on the, I checked the level of one of the floors in my house and it was level. I put the Seestar on the floor. I recalibrated the level. At first it was showing 86 degrees. I recalibrated the level and it was at 90 degrees. So now I do not have that issue anymore with having to do an extra adjustment there. So that saves some time in my polar alignment routine, which is great. So if you're having that issue, I've seen it on Facebook and Reddit, some people posting, if you're having that issue, recalibrate the level on your Seestar. The second thing is I've also started, instead of just hitting refresh deviation every time on the ZWO app, I now back out of the deviation screen and go back into it and start it again. It's going to ask me to pick the position. And rather than using position 3 at the zenith, I've been using position 4. And I've noticed position 4 doesn't have as much, I want to say it doesn't have as much movement in between deviations. You could see while I was doing the deviation, sometimes it changed drastically. I've noticed that if you put it on 4, it for some reason, maybe just my angle specifically, my altitude, my latitude specifically, it's better to have it at position 4. Maybe it's just the angle that the Seestar is and something to do with the gyroscope. I don't know. I wish we got more explanation from ZWO, but they don't really seem to address that. So anyway, for sure, that works faster for me. Some people have said they use 2 facing further south at a pointing lower, but 4 works for me. So you might want to try backing out of the app and experimenting with some of those other positions to see if they have more stability for you. And the final thing I wanted to say is I showed you how for some reason the Seestars bounce around. The numbers bounce around on the screen after it looks like the Seestar's not moving. That's a big issue. And another thing I wish ZWO would address, why is it on a stable area and still bouncing around like that? And I'm not the only one who's experienced it. In the Discord app, people have talked about it. So the last thing I've started doing differently is when I do the deviation and I see that it in the ZWO app that it lands on a good number, but then after that it starts to bounce around, I don't get concerned about the bouncing around. I'll do a deviation again and again if it's at a really good number and then just bounces around right after that, I will just stop and I'll take that final result. So it looks like the deviation's not good. It looks like the polar alignment's not good, but it's just from it bouncing around. I could see as soon as the refresh deviation finished, the number's good. I just let it stay that way. I don't worry about as long as it's been consistently close and I know I've only had to make minor adjustments. At that point, I can confidently say, even though the end number doesn't look good, as soon as it finishes the deviation, it was a good number. And it's been doing that. I will just let it stay that way. Hope that makes sense to you. This is not an exact science by any means, and this is my process. Again, I'm not going to make this video any longer than it already is, but if you really need to see proof of my long exposures, I mean, just ask in comments and I can show you some examples of some great success I've had with getting 60 seconds at near zero. You know, I've had nights where I've had 60-second exposures at 95 or 94% efficiency, things like that. So anyway, you can either trust me or not, but this is my procedure. This is how I get long exposures. I hope it helps you get long exposures. That's what it all comes down to. I'm making these videos to help out and give folks an idea on how to use their Seestars better. So Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and catch me for the next video. Clear skies, everyone. See ya.